Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Friday night hangout brought to you by the Craft Beer Nation. Tonight is episode 193, and we will be featuring the Bruery tonight. This is this particular uh, style or brewery celebration has been proven to be really tricky for us. This is the second time we've scheduled it. The first time we had to kind of scramble around at the last minute and cancel it because not very many people had their beers. And then tonight, it's only me and Doug here tonight. And to make matters worse, I'm not drinking the brewery beer, but it's with good reason. And I'll talk to that in just a few moments. But before we get into the show, two things. Want to remind you that you can catch our Pints and Quarts podcast. On last night's show, we had Neil Whitty. He's one of 11 certified master cicerones in the world. He's with the Duvel USA brands. So Bruery. I'm sorry, not Brewery. Boulevard, Omegang, and Firestone Walker. And it was a really fun show. He it was clear that he had a good time, and he shed a lot of knowledge on us last night, man, and gave a lot of good answers to some really cool questions. So be sure to check out that podcast. You can catch them on any way that you access your podcast, or you can check them out. You can check out our Craft Beer Nation YouTube channel. Secondly, is today being January. Well, today is January 29th, and here in Northern Virginia, there's a brewery called Forge Brew Works, and recently they experienced a loss, and it was the owner Matt. Well, the owners was Matt and his wife Carrie. After a long struggle with trying to conceive a child, they were successful, and during her pregnancy is when she found out that she was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer. So a lot of breweries got together. There's a lot of people tell you that being a brewer isn't the most lucrative of businesses unless you own a massively successful national brewery or whatever. But a lot of the breweries in Northern Virginia got together. They brewed a beer called Carrie's Cure, and it's a Belgian pale ale, and all the proceeds were supposed to go toward paying for her medical expenses and things of that nature, because she's gonna have to have a lot of experimental things done in order to fight this aggressive cancer. Well, this particular aggressive cancer that she had. I'm not sure if stomach cancer is particularly aggressive, but seeing that she got diagnosed in stage 4, I mean that's kind of the worst stage to be diagnosed in. So they had the baby. Everything went fine. She was undergoing treatment. I think the baby right now is about 4 or 5 months old, and about 2 weeks ago, Carrie passed away. So today is when all the breweries in the Northern Virginia area got together, and they all tapped Carrie's Cure, and once again, all the proceeds will go toward paying for her medical expenses, and anything that's left over will go toward Lance, who is their baby. Once again, he's like 5 months old. The money will go toward helping to pay for his college fund. So I spent this afternoon at a local brewery and drinking for a cause, and you don't have to be here in Northern Virginia to contribute to this cause. There's a GoFundMe page. I posted it earlier in the week. I'll probably post it again to get it at the top of the stream. But you can go to their GoFundMe page and donate money or whatever, just to show the solidarity and in the beer community, and to help out a good cause. So yeah, that's what this band is for. It's in memory of Carrie, and I hope Matt and Lance. I wish them nothing but the best. I hope they're able to get settled, and Matt's able to get his reins on things, because having a child is a difficult thing, especially when you're doing it by yourself. So that's quite the adjustment that they're going to be making, and we hope them nothing but the best, and we just want to be able to help any way that we can. So that said, small crew tonight. Me and Doug Nolan. Doug, how are you doing tonight, man?
Not too bad. And it's and sorry to kind of start on such a sour note. I've been reading about this family before because my wife, she's the avid Facebooker more than me, and so she came across it, and I guess she has several friends that live in the Northern Virginia area, and she shared it with me. So I've been kind of following along with it over the, you know, last few weeks.
Yeah,
Gosh, I can't imagine.
it's a sad story, man. But you gotta remain hopeful that everything will work out the way that it's supposed to. So the thing is that the hard thing about the brewery is that their beers are so massive. They aren't known for making small beers, small sessionable beers. So along those lines, Doug, what are you drinking tonight, man?
Well, along those lines of small beers, uh, this is a 2015 Black Tuesday that weighs in at a modest. I'm trying to find it. I think it's 19.9, but I can't. Yeah, it's kind of hidden label, but Black Tuesday 2015, 19.9% alcohol. Um, so starting off easy, I guess.
So that beer is that just an imperial stout aged in
Yeah,
aged in bourbon barrels?
I think this is kind of like the base beer that all the others kind of fall off of, and as you were talking earlier, the one behind you and as well some of the other variants, kind of play off of this. There's the Gray Monday that you have. I'm pretty certain is Black Tuesday with the hazelnuts, and then of course the Mocha Wednesday, that's Black Tuesday with the coffee. But I mean, it's a heck of a base beer to play off of, because have you had it before?
No, I have not.
I don't. It's one of those beers that when you first kind of get into craft beer, you always you hear people talk about it, you hear people see it online, in various social media networks talk about this beer, and you kind of think to yourself, oh my god, like, am I ever going to try this beer? And for years I always wanted to try this beer, and
it was definitely a whale for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like something that I'd wanted. I'd always heard about it, talked about it, but I never really tried to pursue it really, because I didn't know what it would take to, say, trade for one, for example. And not this past year, but the year before last, I had entered in a raffle on their website. So they do I think it was about sometime around September, maybe into September, early October, they do a raffle on their website, and you can enter in and for the chance to win 3 bottles. And so last year,
chance to buy 3 bottles.
Yeah, a chance to win. You win an opportunity to buy 3 bottles.
Yeah.
And last year, I got a buddy of mine to go in as well, and him and I both got selected. So last year, I bought 6 bottles. I ended up only keeping 2 to myself, and I sold off 4 to my friends around here. And then this past year, I entered it again and got selected, and I bought 3 more bottles. So it's like I went from not having it at all to
since you're having a case,
bottles galore of it. And now now I was at one of my buddies that a couple of my friends that bought bottles, some of the bottles off me, I ended up drinking, they'd open them at tastings. And so, I had I split a bottle with friends. I've had, this is probably this is the first one of the 2015, but I've probably tried the 2014 like 5 or 6 times, and it never ceases to amaze me how awesome this beer is. Yeah. And I don't want to take away from what you're getting to drink, because I know a lot of people rave about it as well. But like, to me, this is kind of like the holy grail of bourbon barrel stouts.
I'll tell you, man. So I have 2 bottles back here, and so one consistent thing with the brewery is all of their stouts, they on the label, they all say
contains alcohol.
Well, but it's all imperial stout aged in bourbon barrels. I'm like, do they make anything other than imperial stouts that they age in bourbon barrels? But the thing, so anyway, they kind of specialize in making these big, massive imperial stouts. They from what I've heard, because I haven't had very many of their beers, but they always make them well. I mean, nobody ever drinks one and say, "Oh, this is just like the other one." This is just another one of the ones that I had already. They all have a little bit of distinction, and they all taste amazing. Now, one thing, go ahead.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like when I first had this beer, I kind of look at it the first time I had like KBS, the first time I had Bourbon County, the first time I had Hop Slam, or the first time I had, any of those kind of beers for the first time that you've always you read about, you hear about, and people always rave about how good they are. And every time I go into them, I want to go into them like I don't want to like this beer. Like I want to find a way to not like it because certainly it can't be as good as everybody makes it out to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of those beers that I've mentioned before, and some of the ones that kind of fall into that category, to me, I feel I don't think they're as good as other people say they are. Mm-hmm. And so when I go into Black Tuesday, I'm like, oh, I don't want to drink this beer. I mean, not necessarily, not that I want to drink it. I don't want to like this beer. Like, it can't be that good, but it is that good.
It lives up to the hype.
Like, I've had this one. I've had the Grey Monday. I've had the Mocha Wednesday. And, like, all of those, like, I mean, and I think the main reason, too, like, that I don't normally buy a lot of brewery stuff is because they're so expensive. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of
come in large format bottles.
Yeah. And so, I mean, not this one, for example, the Black Tuesday, because it's not a shelf beer. This is kind of, the raffle or, a society member is the only way you can get it. But even like their shelf beers, like when it's like their anniversary beers that are, $30, $35 a pop, or even like, I think like if you find any of their beers under like $20, you're like, what is this? I mean, is it worth drinking?
They have a couple of them that are consistent under $20. One's Mischief, which is like a hoppy blonde ale, and then there's, I think it's called Saison Roux. It's a saison. It's under $20.
The one that I really enjoy, and I first had it years ago, and then this distribution of brewery beers to this area has kind of been hit or miss over the years. Now, in more recent years, just actually like maybe the last year or two, we're getting a ton of brewery stuff. And it's funny because I know when you guys did the Pints of Quarts about Bruery and like how small they are, to get as much distribution as we do, it's kind of amazing. But Hot and Roth. So Hot and Roth is their Berliner Weiss. And the first time I had it was probably, it's probably like 5 or 6 years ago, and then I never saw it on the shelf for like 4 years.
That's a really good beer, by the way.
I mean, it completely disappeared, and now I think it may be more of a seasonal thing for them, and that I can pick it up anytime I want to, usually, because it's one of those brewery beers. Everyone's like, oh, Hot and Roth. If it's not, it's not some big beer. Why do I want it?
It's not aged in a bourbon barrel. What?
Yeah, I think it's like 3.2% alcohol.
This is a crazy thing, man. So you spoke about how small they are. I want to say this is a 2014 number. So I don't know what they did this past calendar year, but in 2014, they only produced 3,000 barrels of beer. I homebrew 3,000 barrels. I'm kidding. I don't homebrew 3,000 barrels of beer, but that is in my like that when we interviewed them and they told us that, I was like, what?
3,000 or 30,000?
3,000 U.S. beer barrels.
Huh?
How crazy is that, man?
That's
an incredibly small number, right? So with that, this is I'm getting this from Wikipedia right now, so this could be wrong, but I do remember him telling us a number when I was like, no, what? So the fact that their beers can be so sought after, so good, so popular, and so many people around the country seek them out, and they don't even brew that much. They're doing something absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see like what I would love to have the opportunity to like go into like their barrel room, because that's the problem. Like, that's the thing. Like these beers, and I know, like me personally, I don't buy a lot of their stuff. I know there's people out there that money is no object, they can buy these things left and right all day long. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that's not me. And so for me, when it comes to buying beer, I really have to kind of pick and choose, and occasionally I'll splurge on things like this, but it's a rare occasion for me. But I can understand and kind of justify or I guess I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but I can understand the cost of these beers because I get that they don't produce a lot, and a lot of their beers. Not I know we've kind of really kind of hit on the stouts, but when you get into all their like sour beers and all their barrel aged wild stuff, I mean, some of those beers are aged for 12, 18 months, and so I mean, you're basically paying storage fees for these beers because they it's taking up space for other stuff. So
you gotta pay for that real estate that those barrels are taken up in the brewery. You gotta pay for the actual barrels themselves. You gotta pay for the time that the beer sits in those barrels. You gotta pay for the actual blending process that probably goes on once they're ready to start bottling the beer from these barrels. And then I mean, and then on top of that, I mean, they have that nice little touch where they wax, they hand dip all of, well, not all of them, but at least all of the reserve beers. They hand dip them in wax. So I mean, I'm just saying that's just another part of the process that you have to appreciate and you have to pay for. I mean, they are expensive, but they cost more than a traditional beer to make. I mean, to think about it, they are intentionally kind of cutting into their potential margins so that they can remain true to what they do, right? They could easily turn some IPAs and be a much more profitable brewery. They can churn and burn IPAs out the door, but these guys are brewing beer today with the intention of it never going out the door for another 12 to 18 months. So,
well, I think I read someplace that they like vow never to brew a true IPA.
oh really?
Like I don't think they ever have. Like I mean, you'd have to look on their maybe on their Untapped or on their beer advocate page to see if they may have a list. But I'm pretty certain I read someplace that it's one of those things that they vow to do. It's so funny because as popular as IPAs are these days, you would think that they would kind of bite the bullet, but it's cool to see them kind of stand strong to their their beliefs and what they're doing. I came across this one article from February of 2014 that says they bought this specific some sort of brewing system that allows the brewery to brew between 20 and 35 barrels of wort per batch. And these changes will increase the brewery's capacity to over 20,000 barrels annually. So
I'm looking at their site, and they have a beer, like, so they have I want to say this is one of their I don't want to say it's a seasonal beer, but they have a beer called Humulus Wet. It's an annual wet hopped ale. Once a year, the hops blah 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 blah, hoppy fresh and as humanly possible. And this was released in 2010, 50 IBUs. So I'm guessing more along the lines of like a pale ale, probably.
Yeah, I've seen these things, and I've
heard of these things that they make.
Well, they do and we talked about it briefly. Maybe it was last week or the week before last about the brewery, and they do what's their table beer? The Jardinier.
Okay.
I'm pulling it up on their website here now. It's a Jardiniers, which is French for gardener. It was inspired by fresh sessionable beers so often found on Belgian dinner table. Mm-hmm. It's a bright and flavorful with a assertive hop character. So it's almost like I guess like a Belgian kind of pale ale, Belgian kind of sessionish pale ale. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I have seen that they have it. It looks like it's year round. The Humulus Lager, which I guess is supposed to be their kind of IPA, which is that's what it on. If you go to the website and pull up Humulus Lager, the first line of the description is, "We promised we wouldn't brew an IPA," and this is the closest we've come to breaking that promise. It's a hoppy lager with 3 pounds of hops per barrel.
But the thing is, even with these beers, you gotta like they're like tap room, tasting room only, or draft exclusive release. Like these beers don't go out into the wild, right? So
the Jardinier one that I mentioned does.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Okay,
I feel like I may have seen it recently, but I could be mistaken.
cool.
What's up, gentlemen?
Freddie, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys? What is up?
Not a whole lot, my man. You are you drinking the brewery tonight?
I am not because I am drinking alone, and the brewery that I have,
It's
I would
massive.
I would not survive the night.
What are you talking about?
Well, Doug, to be fair, Doug isn't finishing that bottle tonight either. And
I before when I first cracked open this brewery beer, there's a Mocha Wednesday.
Black Tuesday.
Great
Um,
Monday, Black Tuesday.
Monday.
I got
There
them
you
here.
go.
They're just visiting.
when I opened my Black Tuesday, I got two mason jars out, a 10-ounce mason jar and a 4-ounce mason jar, and I filled the 4-ounce one that I'm gonna give to a buddy tomorrow, and the 10 ounces for me to drink tomorrow night. So
So
I wasn't gonna tackle it by myself.
So I didn't want Doug. I'm not drinking brewery tonight, and it's for the same reason that Doug isn't finishing his bottle tonight, and for the same reason that Freddie isn't drinking his bottle tonight. I have
Yep.
Grey Monday and Black Tuesday Reserve. Black Tuesday Reserve is 20.5%. No,
Yep.
no way. I'm drinking 20 and a 750 of 20.5 by myself. And then Grey Monday is 18.5%. Probably wouldn't be a wise idea to drink a 750 of that either.
Definitely not a good
Um,
decision.
That's the problem with this brewery is the fact that like I'm all for doing a hangout to celebrate their product, but it's hard to kind of get a full show
yeah,
of drinking their beers because not everybody's going to be how interesting is it going to be if everybody's popping hot and off.
right. Well, see, so the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
normally I have the option to pick up like I said earlier, Mischief and the Saison Roux. But I went to the store tonight. They did not have Saison Roux, but they did have Mischief. And a blonde ale isn't it's not gonna get me that excited, and I ain't want to
Yeah,
drink a whole
absolutely.
750 of a blonde ale and not be excited about it. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet on this one. We can still talk him up, but nonetheless, I didn't want Doug to drink by himself, so I am drinking a Bourbon County brand stout. I kind of, I guess I'm still drinking a little big. This one's 14.3%, but I didn't want Doug to drink a big beer by himself, so I decided to at least contribute to make my contribution to the ABV the ABV limits of the night.
I fell
So,
short. I fell very short.
well, you're drinking some delicious Trillium beer. I can tell. I can see it in your glass.
Yeah, I'm drinking I just polished off the 64-ounce growler of Congress Street IPA, which I believe is Galaxy in Columbus, I want to say.
Freddie, were you on that night when we interviewed the brewery?
Yes, I was.
Did he say that they produced, was it 3,000 barrels a year?
Yeah, something crazy yeah, like I think like only 3,000 barrels, something like that. They're everywhere.
Yes, ridiculously small amount.
Yeah.
And so Doug, have you ever joined their Are you a member of one of their societies?
So I had never really tried to before, just because I did. The problem with it, so when you join those, if I was looking at the Reserve Society a few years ago, I had it in my basket. I was ready to pull the trigger, and they had availability, and I didn't do it. The membership is $250 for the Reserve Society, but when you join at $250, you get $300 worth of merchandise right off the bat. So you're basically, it's paid for right then. You're getting, because I think it includes like a Black Tuesday, their Reserve Society growler, which this year is like a $50 growler, and all this cool stuff. But the thing is, like for me personally, I would have to go in with, at least 2 or 3 other people because. I mean, the beers that you have the availability to, and they have it listed on their website. I don't know if it's on there year round or if it's only on there come membership time. But the beers that you have access to throughout the year, I mean, you would probably spend, I don't know, $5,000 on beer. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, I've luckily enough now I have a connection that can ship to me. So I have like my trustee that can, would hook me up. But I think next year I may pull the trigger. I might join the Preservation Society, which is like their quarterly one. But once you're in with that one, you kind of get first dibs to the reserve before the people that sign up on the waiting list.
So hold on. So the Reserve Society is a little more. You get more stuff with the Reserve Society.
So they have three. There's the Preservation, the Reserve, and the Hoarders. The Preservation is like a quarterly thing. You pay quarterly. You get whatever beers are allotted to that quarterly society. The Reserve Society gets,
Annual.
Yeah, it's an annual. You would pay $250. Then there's a whole list of beers that you're allotted to throughout the year. Whether it be the Black Tuesdays or the Gray Monday. I think Mocha Wednesday may be a Hoarder Society beer, but I could be wrong. And then so you with that you pay the $250 and you get like there's several beers included in it. You get the growler included in it, but then you get like if you go to their tap room, they'll have their regular tap list, and if you're a Reserve Society member, some beer that a regular ordinary Joe can't get a growler fill of, you can get a growler fill of. Or then if you go to their tap room, they have a special 4 or 5 taps that are just for Hoarder Society members. And the Hoarder Society members are people that you actually have to be like invited to join by the brewery itself.
Oh wow, it's like a black card.
I was just reading about it too. They're guaranteed extra recording, so they get extra bottles of all the society beers too. They guarantee.
Yeah, so like if you're a Hoarder Society member, you might get say 6 bottles of Black Tuesday. Hoarders maybe will get like 8 bottles.
It's like a black card. It's like that's a brewery black card society.
Well,
you gotta be invited to join.
So when you go to the brewery's website and you go to the store, if you log in as your Hoarder Society or your Reserve Society member, you'll see other things on their shop that you can't normally get. Like for example, this particular year, I don't know if you guys saw the Black Tuesday glasses that were floating around. Yeah. But Reserve Society members were able to order those online, but you or I, if we went to the website, we wouldn't see them. So, it's I think if you can get in with people to do it, it would be worth it. But
you have to have a proxy, right?
Yeah, like I've got somebody that I have that squared away, but and I'm sure I'm sure everybody here has seen his post from him in Google Plus, but it's a lot of money, and right now I just don't have a whole lot of extra cash to pay for it, and I would definitely have to go in on it. And it's one of those things like you would go in on the beers too, and get together with the folks and have a little bottle share with the guys that are you're kind of in it with to kind of taste everything. But
what are you drinking Black Tuesday?
Yeah.
What what year?
2015. And it is. I don't know. I think Randy and I have talked about Bruery for like 30 minutes before you came in, and we keep talking about. I don't know if we've really ever talked about our beers.
Yeah. So go ahead, and talk about yours.
So I don't know, like we were talking about earlier. I think Randy and I could sidetrack all these little tangents about the beer or the brewery.
Yep.
So this beer, I've poured it. Obviously, I can see it now, but it's like motor oil. I mean, it's like it when you pour it, it has a kind of like a brownish hue to it. But when you get it into the glass, there's no light through it, and you smell it, and it's just like, it's just booze and bourbon. It's so. I don't remember previous years of this. Well, I say previous years. Last 2014. I don't remember 2014 being as boozy as this one is. I think 2014 was 19.5. This is 19.9. But it is just alcohol.
Do they have the year on the bottle? Well, what if I might be looking like it's anything other than 2015?
Nah, it definitely should say it.
Yeah, mine says it right here on the right side of the label.
Yeah, the right side. Yep. 2000.
My Gray Monday is 2014. My Black Tuesday is 2015.
So yeah, you drink this thing and it's like.
I got 2014. I didn't even notice that.
immediately, like right, you can tell too. The 2015s are 2015 is not waxed. 2014 and all the others are waxed.
Yeah, mine's a wax. Yeah.
Um, it is just booze. I mean, galore. But you
Wait,
really kind of
you
get.
said 2015 is not waxed?
Well, the reserve is waxed. The regular one's not.
Oh, okay.
So like this is mine, and
Okay.
it had a cap, and
Yeah,
it's
the fancier. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have that over
Okay.
and it's you get just. I mean, it's just syrupy, sweet, thick. Like I mean, it's so full bodied, and it's really. I mean, it blows my mind of how malty sweet this beer is, and it's also practically 20% alcohol. Like
And
I can only imagine what the starting gravity of this beer is for it to finish
yeah.
as sweet and as full bodied as it is. I mean, it's just, I mean, it's you start to get like you get the chocolate, you get the vanilla, you get the bourbon, and then you kind of get the raisiny, plummy fruit flavors to it. I mean,
there.
it's mind blowing.
So the crazy thing is that a lot of those characteristics that you described in that Black Tuesday are some of the same characteristics I get in this Bourbon County Stout. It goes without being said that this is a great beer, right? I mean, the mouthfeel on this beer is, it much like your beer, pours like motor oil.
Yep.
I mean, I know you can't really, well, you can kind of see a little bit, man. It just hugs the side of the glass.
Oh
It
yeah, I mean, if I turn mine one way and then go the other way, I mean, it just like coats it. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just
yeah,
Very,
it leaves a
that's
trail for sure.
yeah.
Big. So this beer is 2015. It's just released a few months ago, but this is a pretty boozy beer, I think, for the ABV. I mean, not that 14.3 is small, but it's kind of a boozy beer. But you get all these beautiful barrel characteristics of it. You get that bourbon, you get that oakiness, you get all those nice vanilla notes that you typically get from that from bourbon barrels, but none of that is lost. Well, the fact that the base beer for this, the stout,
Mhm.
it's not lost in all those things. You can tell if Goose Island, if they made this beer without without barrel aging it, it would still be a phenomenal stout.
uh,
You don't think so?
I've talked with people that have had the non-barrel aged version of it and heard it's not
Oh,
very
that
good.
that actually exists.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
suppose I'll talk with my buddy Martin. He's had it. I
Mhm.
forget what the name of it is, but I think it's kind of one of those like brew pub exclusive.
He
Yeah.
Um,
didn't, and he said it wasn't that good.
no, it's kind
Oh.
of like I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but this weekend, for example, is the release of Foothill Sexual Chocolate. I noticed Randy's got it right for his shoulder there. But for me, like Sexual Chocolate is really not all that great. The barrel aged version is so much better.
Truth,
But
truth. Well, maybe this isn't a good beer before it's barrel aged, but a barrel does a beer good, especially in this particular one right here, man. It's like you know how the beer how well it's sticky, right? After you drink it, your
Yeah.
lips are kind
oh
of
yeah, like
The
sticky.
my
sugars.
mouth right now, like if I was to smack my lips, I mean it's like you can feel them just kind of just my mouth just feels like it's
Yeah,
coated.
it's like a residue
Yeah,
Yeah,
left over.
I feel
but
like I've
this
got like glue like on my mouth.
this beer either drinks true to 14.3% or drinks a little bigger than that because you know how when you drink bourbon you can or any spirit for that matter, oftentimes you can feel it going down, you can feel it warming all the way down.
Yep.
I kind of get that same effect with this beer right here. So
Yeah, no, I certainly can get that in this one. Like I'm not much of a spirit drinker like straight per se. I don't drink a whole lot of bourbon straight, but with this, I think it's weird how some high ABV beers are like some that are 14, 16% alcohol don't drink that, but
yeah,
like this at 20% nearly 19.9 if we're gonna get technical. I mean it warms my throat like all the way down. Like
yeah.
I know that it's but like when I drink uh, Sink the Bismarck. That's 42% alcohol. It it didn't taste like it did like. I mean, that's 40 proof. I mean, that's like drinking a shot of bourbon. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it like I can't really drink straight bourbon very well, but I could drink that. Not so it wasn't so bad, but it's equal. It's weird how some beers like kind of had that ABV. I guess what I'm getting at. Maybe the Black Tuesday's talking to me now.
So that all said, I'm gonna be keeping this bottle because I think this is just a beautiful piece of marketing. This is an absolutely gorgeous bottle. I'm gonna be holding on. I don't keep many empties, but this is one that I'm gonna keep. And as much as I don't like Anheuser or AB InBev, I'm actually gonna keep this bottle. But 2015 will be the last year that I actually give them any of my money, and it's largely due to the what's going on right now with the coffee style and also the barley wine.
At least they're giving people their money back.
Well, you can about $6. If that's hardly your money back. But I don't not to commandeer the show and take it away from the brewery. But when Goose Island sold to AB, you expected them to, or at least I expected them to be able to have access to better quality control measures. Better. Just you don't expect infections on the level.
Well, the thing is that like this particular they've been owned and they've had this is what the third release they've had since they've been owned by AB InBev, I think.
No, I think like second maybe.
No, wait. AB InBev bought them like back in 20. Well, maybe it was 2013.
Maybe third. Yeah, maybe the third.
You're right. You're right.
So, I mean, I'm pretty certain this is at least the third release from them, and the previous. I mean, I know last year's all the 2014s were awesome. So I don't know what the big. Now I know they recently built that huge warehouse, the whole barrel, and I don't know if they just haven't gotten things dialed in there or not, or I don't know why Bourbon County was so good, but the barley wine and coffee failed. I don't know. Yeah. Well, to me, the barley wine is my favorite, so I didn't even try it.
The barley wine is my favorite too. And the 2014 barley wine was absolutely incredible. And then I go and get this year's barley wine, and right off the bat,
the worst.
You can tell that something's wrong with the aroma, and you taste it and you're like, whoa, this is not what I expected at all. And for that reason, man, for a beer to be that sought after, for a beer to, I can't give them any more of my money.
Well, I think I made a post about it.
By the way, Doug, hold on. I'm sorry, Doug. They sold it in 2011.
Okay. I reluctantly was still supporting them just Bourbon County, but once Breckenridge went under, I was like, that's it. That was the straw. And so now I was planning on saving. I had 2009 through 2014 waiting for 2015 to do a whole vertical tasting. I finally just said, like, F it, I'm just drinking them all. So like over the last few weeks, I've been drinking bourbon. Like you can go to if you go to my Instagram, I've been over the last month, I've probably had
a bunch of Bourbon Counties.
I'm just pounding Bourbon County just to get rid of it. But I don't foresee myself buying any more. I had something else on my mind that I slipped it now.
It's a shame. Anyway.
Yeah, it is a shame.
So Freddie,
it was something of brilliance, I can assure you.
Fred, you want to go ahead and talk about your beer real quick? Your amazing Trillium offering?
Well, I'm just, for me, to be honest, I'm waiting to crack my next one. I just wanted to polish this off. I'm just going to jump on. I'm just drinking again.
It looks like orange juice in a glass.
Yeah, this is the last of it. Got about a gulp left. It's Congress Street against Galaxy. I can tell you, actually. I'm pretty sure it's Galaxy. Yeah, Galaxy Columbus. It's 7.2% ABV. Mm-hmm. It's American two-row barley. White wheat, C15, dextrin, and dextrose for those who want to get technical. And again, another, just very turbid, great mouthfeel.
I like a little dextrose in IPA. Dries it
The
out.
yeah, it gives it a nice dry
A
finish.
clean, dry finish.
The
Chris,
the again, great mouthfeel. The Galaxy gives it all these tons of like that, like stone fruit essence to it. It's just it's a solid. It's a solid beer from Trillium once again.
Well, all they make a solid beer, so
Yeah, I mean they're doing it right, and you know, I just want to again.
have you heard any
I
problems?
wish I could have drank my brewery stuff, but again, I'd have to be with someone else or someone else in the background drinking because
Have you ever had any problems with at Trillium with the employees?
um luckily no. I've been going there for a decent while, and now like see again like I was saying like I know I talked to a few of the guys recently. I went Friday. I work really close to the Boston location, like right in downtown Boston, and I live literally like 15-minute drive from the new brewery. So it's like I'm in and out both of them, dude. So I see a lot of the
Well,
same
it's,
people running
it
around.
the
I've
only
never
reason
had like an issue with people being rude or questions or anything like that. Or
I was one of my good friends here just moved up to like I mean basically lives on the border of Vermont and New York, and his girlfriend is from Boston, and so they go in there, going to Boston every so often, and when he comes down to uh, here, he brings beer back, and he was gonna bring some things from Trillium, and he had kind of had a poor experience. And,
well, you'll be happy regardless of what he brings back. You'll be
yeah,
happy.
yeah,
But
exactly.
um, overall thoughts, Doug, on the brewery.
I really don't think they can do wrong. I mean, I know as far as like their beers go, I mean, I know I don't drink them as often as I would like because of the cost at times, but when I pony up the money and I drop, $20, $30 on a bottle, it's not, where sometimes I'm reluctant to spend that kind of money on a beer because I don't feel like rolling dice or taking a gamble on a beer like that. But with brewery, rarely if I ever, I don't think I've ever spent that kind of money on a beer from them and been disappointed. Like I don't think there's a beer from them that I've ever really thought, wish I get my money back. I mean, they like whether it's their, I know we were really focusing on their stouts tonight, but we get into like even their ruse or the oud tart, you
yep,
get into their sour stuff. I mean, I mean, they make some of the most world class, sour style beers as well as stouts, and it's kind
Heart
of a
of
weird,
Darkness. Whew,
yeah, so I say Tart Darkness,
so good.
excellent.
yeah, it's just a weird thing that they do. Like they specialize in like that's some of their like Belgian sour styles and their American stouts. I mean, it's just the fact that they can do. I mean, I guess when you do so little, you can really kind of fine tune it. You're not
Yeah,
having to like mass produce it, but yeah, I mean, they're awesome.
Freddie.
Like again, you're gonna get. I think you get a lot of the same things from everybody. Like big. It's amazing. They don't pump out so much beer, but you can find them. Maybe not every beer, but you find a lot of their beers at a lot of locations. For a brewery, again, they're 3,000 barrels, let's say, or something like that. Um, Crazy barrel program. If you like big beers, these guys are right up your lane. And because again, Sucre, Tart Darkness, they have a huge variety of beers. Again,
Mhm.
for a brewery that you would think, like, with the beers they produce, you would think guys are just like the beers are just flying from the brewery like ridiculous. It's nuts, man. They put out really above par beers, a huge selection,
Mhm.
huge seasonal selection again. They offer programs, and I mean, they're doing it right. It's just, it's crazy what they're doing, to be honest. Again, for me personally, I'm just amazed again at their reach. You can find them from coast to coast, all types of different brews, and then they only produce X amount of barrels a year, and you're just like, how? It just seems like illogical. You're like, no, that can't be right.
Yeah. So like I think along the same lines as Doug. I mean their beers tend to be relatively expensive, but like aside from like maybe the Hottenroth, Like there are very few. Oh, Hot and Roth and Mischief and Saison Roux. Outside of those beers, everything else that I buy from them, I buy with the intention of sitting on it, right? So it's almost the equivalent. I think the brewery's big big beers are to beer what buying like a super duper fine bottle of wine is to the
Yeah.
wine folks, right? They buy it not necessarily to drink it right now, but to cellar it and to sit on it and to age it,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That's kind of like how I be every time I get a big format brewery beer. Like I never buy a beer with the intention of drinking it right now from them, except for those three I just named. So I mean they're producing some great
I
stuff.
mean, I like their autumn maple when the whole pumpkin craze
Yeah,
is going
yeah,
on. You know,
that's done
that's a
very
good
well.
beer.
But I mean, for the most part, once again, we
Yeah.
said it earlier. There's so much to be said about the fact that they are a tiny, relatively speaking, tiny brewery, and their beers are so sought out. People are paying, you know, $250 to be a member of their preservation society or reserve society. I'm sorry. People are willing to pay money to be a part of this society to get these beers because they're all amazing, and that says a lot about A, their marketing acumen, and B, the fact that they just flat out make fantastic beers. So I have been you cannot hate on the brewery. If you do, you're just a grade A hater, and that's it. You drink 100 proof haterade. So that's gonna wrap our show tonight. Drinking 100 proof haterade. That's gonna be the wrap for us tonight. Be sure to join us. Next Friday is gonna be it's gonna be so much fun again because on the episode next Friday is gonna be episode 194. On episode 150, we did barley wines, and let's just say the show got really.
You never saw it.
Yeah, you'll never see it unless you unless you have the Craft Beer Nation login information to go to the YouTube channel. You'll never see it. So next Friday we're gonna give barley wines another shot. I can guarantee you that I will be on style next week because I have barley wines on barley wines on barley wines on barley wines. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Speaking of springing barley wines, who's going to go out and they're going to show up with the brewery's mash, their recent bourbon barrel aged barley wine?
If I come across it, I'll pick it up.
It's the sort. It's all over the shelves here. It's about $22 a bottle.
That way I can make up next week for this week. I'll be paying homage to the brewery
There you go.
and drinking the barley wine. So be sure to join us next week when we give barley wines another go. So until then, everybody, cheers.